Welcome back to Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Glad you're still with us. Our guest is Curren Price, member of the California State Senate. Sir, I'm glad you are with us today.
Good to be here.
We're going to talk about the California budget. In past years, the numbers were just daunting. $45 billion deficit, $23 billion deficit. This year, about $9 billion?
$9 billion, but it's still $9 billion worth of cuts that are going to have to be made. And so it's still going to be a very troubling, tough budget.
Well, let's talk about that because maybe there won't be cuts. And the reason there may not be cuts is because Governor Brown has proposed an initiative that would go on the ballot in November that would increase sales tax for 5 years by ½ cent and increase income taxes on the wealthiest among us for the same amount of time. What do you make of that initiative?
Well, I think it's a well thought of initiative. I certainly support it. No one wants to raise taxes, but in an era of limited resources, we have to figure out the best way to manage. And I think, as the governor suggested, unless we are able to increase revenues, we're going to have to make even more cuts in health, education, social service programs.
I want to ask about your view of the voters and how they'll look at this initiative. On the first hand, California voters generally have been quite generous when it comes to bonds, high-speed rail, transportation. But the last time the voters of California passed a statewide tax increase was 2004. Times were pretty good in 2004. While the economy is getting better, it appears, do you think the voters will be as generous as they have been come November?
Well, I think the voters are going to be very cautious. And I think that cautiousness is going to also be fueled by the fact that there may be several other initiatives on the ballot for tax increases for various reasons.
And let's talk about that because it seems as if there are 3 competing tax initiatives with basically the same goals in mind, coming from people of similar political philosophies. And so I'm wondering, can those forces come together to unify behind one proposal? Because if they don't, you know as well as I do, there's a serious risk the voters will get confused and vote all 3 down.
Right. No, you're right. And there is an effort going on now, I understand, to try to reach some common ground and see if the other 2 won't drop off. And so we'll see. Those discussions are.
I also want to talk about, let's presume that Governor Brown's initiative is the one that makes it through in the final analysis. Voters seem to like to tax the rich, whatever that may mean, but there is a sales tax increase. And if it is true that the middle class and lower classes are being hurt the most by this recession, is a sales tax increase the best approach? It's regressive. It impacts the poor more than the wealthy.
Well, it does, and I think it's going to have to be something that people weigh, whether or not the small tax increase is worth preserving, the programs that are in place now. You're right, there may be a backlash, and folks may say we don't want to be taxed at all, and we're not going to go along with it. And it's going to leave us no choice but to make some cuts.
At the same time, the money that will come in, maybe $6 billion, it's hard to know, maybe up to $9 billion. That's a nice amount of money for the state of California. But could one argue that maybe we should be even more ambitious? That why are we only increasing taxes amongst the wealthiest? What about upper middle incomes? Why not tax them a slight amount so we can get a bigger chunk of change to try to get us out of this morass?
Well, again, I think it's just a matter of judgment and degree. There obviously is a political judgment, how much you can ask for, how much you think citizens will give, and I think a judgment was made that this was the right kind of formula for this time, given the atmosphere and the attitude that voters have.
So does it pass?
I think it does, narrowly, but I think it does. And I'm going to be supporting it along with my colleagues.
Okay, his name is Curren Price. He's a member of the California State Senate. My name is Brad Pomerance. I want to thank you so much for watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. We're going to send you back to HLN.